that's done. What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? This is Leroy Gordon, aka the last Leroy comedian. This week, I got a couple of my brothers here with us for the Anger Management Podcast. We're going to be talking about some things that's going on within our own personal lives because all of us are doing comedy, and some of the hardest things that we got to do is make other people laugh, especially when we are going through the things that we're going through. So let me go ahead and introduce everybody that's here with us. Of course, you see to my right is none other than comedian Big Chip, aka Andre Watts. Been with me ever since the beginning of what I got going on. But then also to the right of him is none other than Brother Ernest. Ernest, you can go ahead and introduce yourself, let them know a little bit about you.
Hello, my name is Pastor Ernest, and I've always thought that laughter is good for the soul. So my thing is, whatever I can do to make people laugh, even if I'm going through things myself, I think I've done my job.
All right, all right. And then to the left of me is the one and only Mr. Funnybone Harris, Albert Harris. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Man, what's good, everybody? What's good, man? Just excited to be here and time for the men to open up a little bit. So I'm always down with that.
Okay, all right. So one thing I want to do is get one thing started. I know me and Chip, we just finished watching a movie called The Forge. So spoiler alert, if any of you all seen the movie The Forge, I would highly suggest that you watch it, especially if you got sons or if you have men in your family or whatnot, and they might have not been raised with family figures or father figure in their life or whatnot. They can go ahead and look at this and look at the growth of a young man going from his ordeals being in a split home, I guess, you know what I mean, or feeling abandoned up all the way up until getting mentorship and becoming the man he needed to be when his father was not there. But what that did was bring me into this question. I know all of us have grown up in some type of homes, and Funnybone had mentioned this before. We all have some type of broken home that we've grown up in, but it has caused us to have some things that go on with us personally as far as traumas. So before we even get started, I want to know, what kind of home did you all grow up in? We'll start with you, Bone.
Man, mine was pretty much divided. My mom and dad got a divorce pretty much when I was in middle school. So it was just me and my mom's and my brother. And my mom's, trying to play two parts in your life. And it's only so much that a mother can really teach a young man, you know what I mean? And so it was a little bit complicated for me coming up because at the same time it's coming up like that, you learn in life based on trial and error, you know what I mean? So it was a little difficult, man.
All right. And what about you, Ernest?
Well, somewhat like Funny Bone, my mom and dad got divorced when I was 4. I was 4, my brother was 1. And to watch my mom do whatever it took to take care of her 2 little boys was rough for me because I
Right.
knew that no matter what, she did whatever she could. And sometimes we watched her struggle, sometimes we went without. But I think that my mom did the best she could, and that's my best friend.
Okay. And what about you, Chip?
I came from a single parent home, mother who raised me. I was raised by women, really. I had uncles and all, but it was strong women. Like, they didn't play. But that's where I come from, a single parent home, which was my mother who raised us, me and my brother, me and my older brother. And that's it.
Okay. And then for me, I would say right around 4, my mom and dad split when we was in Atlanta. And then I had to pretty much live in a house with nothing but women. So it was my sister,
Right.
my grandmother, and then my mother. And then my mother had to work a majority of the time. So I didn't see her a lot. So it was a lot of times I was there with my grandmother and my sister. You know what I mean? And my mom, she had to do what she had to do. You know what I mean? So she worked 2 jobs, trying to raise 2 kids. Supposed to have a father figure there, but for whatever reason, dealing with drugs or whatnot, he was not there as much as I would wanted him to be. So my grandmother raised me, and I was pretty much at some point at times a latchkey kid. So you know what I'm saying? You got your key, you come in the house, don't open the door for nobody. I don't care who knock on the door. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much how I grew up.
Right.
Well, I think for me, even though my mom was there, we had the backbone. My grandmother, my grandfather, they were there. They always told my mom, if you wasn't working or going to school, I was your responsibility.
Right.
So that was the only time that my grandparents allowed her to
Right.
do whatever she wanted to do. But what they did instill in me is they planted that good foundation inside of me. So they supported my mom and they helped me be where I'm at today.
Yeah, that was real grandparents back in the days. They knew the roles, how important it was for you to get your education or work or anything, and then they'll do their job. They'll help raise the kids. So my grandma played a very important part.
Isn't it ironic that it's like the grandparents, right? Because I'm being real honest with you, I don't know who my grandfather is. So
Wow.
yeah, so I don't know who he is, and I know my father having a relationship with him once I joined the military because that's when it all grew. But see, I still had a lot of animosity and hatred for him because of things that he said that he was going to do and he never did. So I had honestly a effort attitude when it came to him, even up until my time when I was in the military. It's like, okay, well, you really wasn't there. You know what I mean? So, but I had to kind of grow up in the sense and kind of like, okay, well, I want to get to know him. So I'm going to have to forgive him, at least for me, right?
Right.
So at this time, I'm at like a standstill in my life. If I don't do something to try to develop a relationship with him, then it's going to be gone forever.
Right.
You know? So I made the choice when I was in the military to be like, okay, well, I'm going to forgive you, but I can't. It's hard for me to forget because I still have those triggers. You know what I mean? And my goal was to never be like him.
Right.
I want to be there. So that's the reason why I'm here with my daughter all the time. You know what I mean? I wanted my daughter to at least see me every day and know that regardless of whatever you got going on, I'm going to always be there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's me in a sense, as far as the good version of me that I'm portraying at this particular moment. But the traumas and stuff has caused things to kind of hinder my relationship with my daughter and broken the relationship between me and my wife. So there's things that I have to kind of grow up and work on when it comes to that. So,
Absolutely. That's good. That's good, man.
so what about you, Bone? You said you had, I mean, at least your father was there. I mean, even though they're divorced, it sounded like when we had the conversation at the church, he kind of instilled some things into you as well.
Yeah. You know, my dad, he for the first part of my life, man, he actually was a big help to me. I think a lot of times, man, when the parents get divorces, sometimes fathers, they battle with being a father or having a family. And my dad, he was only built to have a family. So when him and my mom didn't work, it was hard for him to be a father. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, you know, the father, more likely he leaves the house, you know? And then he can meet somebody that may have kids and have a family with them. That's why the old school song say Papa was a rolling stone, wherever he lay his hat was his home. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when my dad was with us, he instilled a lot into me. Obviously, when he left, you know, the teaching that he was giving me left also. So it was a little more complicated when he left because I think he was set up to be a family dad. You know what I'm saying? Only if him and mama worked. You know, because, you know, we grew up to a point that the only way I'm going to be able to work with daddy, him and mama got to be good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't really know how to be good with me if him and mama ain't good, you know? So that was something else that you know, we struggle with, you know, on, especially black men. You know, a lot of us struggle with, okay, the only way I could be a good father, me and the mother has to be good together. You know what I'm saying? If you know, we're not good together, then I'm not going to father the way I should. Then I could meet somebody who have children, right? And be the best father to them. You know what I'm saying? It just, you know, how I grew up and seeing my dad and uncles and stuff, it just showed me that sometimes a man father best based on what address he at. So,
See, wow, that's deep because what is it? I kind of
you know,
I don't have I never had a role model in the sense to see how a father is
Right.
supposed to be.
Right.
All I know is that it was difficult when my dad was not there, and when he should have been there, I
Right.
feel like it might have been easier. You know what I mean? To at least be able to have the things that you would need as
Right.
kids, you know?
Right.
I never really thought about, okay, well, let me be right with the mom. A lot of things we see on social media, though, shows, okay, well, the mom makes it difficult for the man to be the father.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times it's like, okay, well, listen, I'd rather, if I got to have to deal with you and this stress with you, I'd rather just throw you and the kid away.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or at least let the kid grow up.
Right.
And then I'll have a relationship with him then if they choose to. But I've seen a lot of times where the women indoctrinate the kids to hate the father just as much as they hate
Absolutely.
him.
Absolutely.
You're right about that.
And saying nothing to the child is just like saying a lot of things to the child. You know what I'm saying? Because at the same time, I've been through that. A lot of times my mom would say certain things about my dad, right? And it put me in positions where I had to pick, whose side I was going to be on. So sometimes the kids battle with that, especially the young men, because, real talk, one thing about young men, we team mom all day long, and, we love mama, that's who take care of us and all that. And, but at the same time, we do need a relationship with a father figure to actually make it to the next scene in our life, you know what I'm saying? And that's about becoming a man, because one thing I could tell anybody is just because you're a good father doesn't make you a good husband. You know what I'm saying? These things are two different entities, right? And so a lot of this stuff take teaching, and a lot of us grew up with no teaching. If you go to any job right now, when you start that job, more likely you're going straight to orientation.
Right.
so they can teach you the job. But a lot of us, we are thrown into the fire, skipping orientation, learning about marriage and all that stuff there, and going straight to the job, and we losing it. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't really have the teaching. Of course we got the job and all that stuff there, but we ain't got the actual teaching on how this thing actually works. And everything comes back to, when we was young, man, we just didn't have the teaching how we should.
See, and I can agree with that. How you feel about that?
I think for me it was a little different. I think sometimes God puts people in your place to replace what you're missing. I used to say all the time that you can't miss what you never had, but you can. For me and my brother, we grew up playing sports. And growing up, if anybody knew about Cougar Park, Henry Brown, Coach Cheeseborough,
Yeah.
Butch, Nate Lauder,
Oh, man.
those were our fathers. Because a lot of us came out of broken homes or single parent homes.
Right.
And what that did for us is, I tell people all the time, we all went through a lot of stuff, but the one thing I can say is they didn't just teach us how to be athletes. They taught us how to be men.
Right.
Right. They provided the discipline that was needed
That's right.
to help us be where we at today.
Gotcha.
But I mean, the thought is, sometimes we do miss it. You miss
Right.
that father figure.
Yeah.
Because I tell people, a woman can teach you how to be a gentleman, but they can't teach you how to be a man.
That's right. All day. That's good, man.
I mean, I think it's not that I think when you mention that you can't miss something you never had, I kind of agree with it in a sense to where, okay, well, if I ain't never had it, then I'm still gonna be okay.
Oh, well,
now.
I say I think you can miss what you never had, because the thought is you see others, like when you're going to events and you see the child with their father, you can miss that because you're like, well, why is my dad not here with me? You can miss it.
Okay. So then that makes sense because I think there was a point in my life, right, when I joined the Corps. When I joined the Corps and I went to boot camp, I was thinking, okay, well, my pop definitely is going to come. I mean, he ain't come to nothing else that I ever had. Absolutely nothing.
Right.
He was there, though. He had the capabilities to come to like a drill team meeting or when I was in the Young Marines or even when I was at Gary Clark Sports Camp growing up. All of those things he could have came to, but he never did, right? So I'm like, okay, well, listen, I'm in one of the hardest branches of the United States military. I'm getting ready to go through boot camp. I'm getting ready to walk across this parade deck.
Yeah.
He know I'm going to graduate,
Right.
and he doesn't show up. I'm watching, and at this time I'm 18.
Right.
I'm 18, right?
Right.
And I'm like, yo, you couldn't even show up for my Marine Corps graduation. I'm watching my friends who I buddied up with, and they mom and parents all there congratulating them. I get done, I get my Eagle Globe and Anchor, and I get my green bag, and I'm gone.
Absolutely.
So it's like it just raised more animosity.
Absolutely.
It does, and for those that don't know, Funnybone is my brother-in-law, and this is a true story, and I don't even know if Funnybone really realized what happened. Funnybone's son graduated the same day my son graduated.
It's facts. It's telling the truth.
They both graduated in 2016. His son graduated from Reebok. My son graduated from Terra Parker. His son graduated at 11 o'clock.
Sure did.
My son graduated at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
As I was getting ready to get my son prepared to graduate, I saw my dad leaving from his son's graduation. And he wouldn't stay for my son's graduation. So you got two grandsons that's
Right.
graduating the same day, the same place, and it messed my world up.
Right.
It broke me because I said to myself, you should be a proud grandfather that you
Right.
have two grandsons graduating
Right.
on the same day, the same year,
Right.
just from different high schools.
Right.
And my mom even asked him, well, hey, let's go get something to eat and come back. And my dad didn't stay.
And truthfully, man, and see those things that hurts, man, because I battled with a lot of stuff with my dad. And I think the thing that I learned from, my dad that I'll tell anybody that, where it hurts me in my life and a lot of failures I made, is I started becoming what I complained about. The thing I didn't like about my dad, I started becoming just like it. He hold around on my mom, so just what I did. The same exact thing. You know what I'm saying? He was doing everything he wanted to do, so I did everything I wanted to do. And I think it's hard, man, that how a lot of us young men now we grew up with our fathers, man, and they don't know, man, small things like even what Ernest said. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard for the fathers to really hear us, you know what I'm saying, and embrace us and and understand that, man, what was small to you is big to me. And that's the thing there, that it's hard because at the same time, I always used to tell my dad, he used to build something called you either lose a conversation or lose me. So you wasn't able to really talk to him. You see what I'm saying? Because if you talk to him, you're going to lose him. You see what I'm saying? So now you got to keep it on the inside and all that there. And by you keeping it on the inside, I mean, now you getting built up smoke. So it was very complicated, man. I mean, man, it was very complicated on releasing my dad, man. It was a while, man, before I actually released him, because I was becoming just like his behind, man, just like him.
Well, I know as far as my dad, I grew up with a lot of anger. Even with his last name, I chose not to know a part of my family just because of him, because I didn't like him. I didn't like what he was doing and how he was doing. And that mentally messed me up. And that prompted me to go in the street to get the love from the drug dealers and all that.
Facts.
Because that's the love I was looking for.
Absolutely.
So when they gave me that love, like, in my mind, I don't need no daddy. I raised myself.
Absolutely.
But
no question.
I realized, like, it hurt and I missed out on a lot. Because now I know a lot of my family, but I don't know all of them.
Absolutely.
And I choose now to learn, but it did affect me growing up because I'm like, oh, shoot.
Absolutely.
Just because I hated him, I didn't want this last name.
Absolutely. No question. No
You
question.
know
about
what I'm
that.
saying?
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
No question, man.
He didn't go to nothing. He didn't come. He didn't come to nothing. My mama was there, and my mama worked a lot. So my sister mother came to a lot of stuff, and that was awesome to me.
Right.
But when she tried, it's like she mentioned one time, yeah, I came to everything, and now I'm like, well, I thought you did that from the heart.
Right.
So now I got mixed emotion. Like, oh, okay, so you didn't do it for the heart, you did it for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. No question.
So let me ask y'all fellas, like, how do you think it affect growing up, the way you grew up, affected the current relationships that you all have now? For me, I'll go ahead and share this. I think I thank God for Chip, because I'm gonna be real honest. A lot of people who know me know it takes a while for me to get to know somebody.
Right.
And after going through counseling, I understand exactly the reason why
Right.
it takes so long is because of my abandonment issues with
Right,
my
right.
dad. Right.
Right.
At the end of the day, in my mind, everybody is going to leave
Right.
at some point. So what I did is I put up walls and stuff like that so that way I don't get hurt. Or I just won't be friends with you. I just be like, okay, you're going to eventually, something you're going to do is going to sour the relationship that you and I have. And it's just going to end, right?
Right.
So my thing is that out of everybody that I've came across, I had friends in the military, but I knew eventually I'm going to get out the military. It's not going to be the same. I had friends growing up when I was in school, but summertime came, so they left. Right. We moved around quite a bit. I wouldn't say a lot, like a lot of people, but when you end up having friends in the neighborhood, like that's the difference between my wife and I. She has friends all the way going back to middle school. I don't have that. You know what I mean? So what is it? Once I got to elementary school, met friends, but then around the neighborhood, we end up leaving. So I'm not friends with them no more. Kids don't keep in contact with each other. And this goes all the way up. So I kind of grew up alone. So it kind of took me some time to actually consider anybody a friend.
Right.
But then those same issues that I have as far as abandonment, my anxiety, frustrations, and all of that carried over into a marriage that, like you said, I did not have any training for. So
Absolutely.
I'm jumping in hoping that love will fix everything.
Absolutely.
When you can have love and not like the person that you with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So given the circumstances, like in my current situation, I would love for things to be completely different. I would have loved to learn more about myself, but at some point in time, it just like right now, it's too late. So for me, it's like, okay, well, you're a better person now, moving forward.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when I put in the title, if y'all watch, you'll see the title. I says the end is the new beginning.
Right.
Because even though things end, there's certain things that has to keep going. You have to keep moving
Absolutely.
forward. And I'm understanding in reference to that now. I know what my faults were in a relationship between my wife and I, and between my daughter and I, that caused the situation that I'm in now. You know,
Right.
but as a man, I don't have the luxury of having to stay focused on the pain and the hurt
Right.
because of it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I
Right.
got to. Once I got the realization of where we were, I had to just like, okay, well, it is what it is.
Right. Got you.
I cry in quiet. I cry in private where no one sees. And then once I get myself together, then I have to keep moving as if like nothing is happening. You know what I mean? I have to create this new normal for myself.
Right.
You know? So I don't think a lot of men understand that the things that you got to listen to the people that surround you too.
Right.
You know what I mean? 'Cause I think my wife been telling me for a long time, Leroy, you have issues, but you know, when you've been sitting in the mess for so long, you stop
Right.
smelling how foul it is.
Right.
So for me, it's like, okay, well, listen, I got the realization of it now, but I have to take responsibility for what it is. I'm too late because she's
Right.
been knocking on the door of my heart for so long.
Right.
And I'm thinking she's nagging or she has she's complaining about something. It's like there's nothing wrong with me. But see, here's the thing. I didn't have friends like Chip around me saying, Leroy, dog, you got a problem.
Right. Right.
Right. And it was like, yo, I started looking at him. I was like, dog, no. But then if you came to the show, I mentioned it, how, you know, how I put the veil over my own eyes for my own personal protection.
Right.
And then started removing it, realizing, okay, well, we in Atlanta and all of the comics that's at this convention is talking to Chip. I'm standing right smack, like right here. This how close we are.
Right.
Everybody walked past me. What's going on, brother? How you doing? I'm looking at Chip. I was like, dog, I'm right here too. So you can talk to me. I'm okay. But Chip was like, man, it's your face. It's just like you don't have an inviting face. I was like,
Right.
I got RBF, man. So it's okay to laugh about it now. But that's when I really started to take notice, because there wouldn't be a reason why he would lie to me. And then I will say this now. I did, like, I never thought that me and my wife would be going through a separation. So
Right.
a lot of the things that she was bringing to me, I was like, well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to as a man. I'm working, I'm bringing home the money, I'm making sure that everything is safe or whatnot.
Right.
I'm doing the providing, professing, and protecting, right? But the one thing that I wasn't doing was securing her emotions. Okay,
Right.
she's telling me what she wanted, and I'm thinking she's nagging, and that's not the case.
Right.
And I kind of cast it into the wind, you know what I mean? But after a while, a woman is going to get tired of having to say the same thing over and over and over again. And I think when I think I know, she's at a point to where she's tired of talking.
Right.
So,
Right.
But as a man, you gotta eat it. You gotta eat it. There's nothing that you can do or say to change their minds. The only thing that I can do right now as a man is stand on moving forward
That's it.
and becoming a better person regardless.
Right.
I know she had mentioned, and I'll just share this, like, I don't believe in, like, separation outside of the home or separation split. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then we get back together for reconciliation. I don't believe in that. When they say whatever you love, if anything, if you love somebody and you let them go, if they come back, then it was meant to be. I don't have that. I don't agree with that. I think that those are games being played. I think, honestly, if you love them, then you stick with it regardless, the good and the bad, like the vows say. There shouldn't be no, I'm going to leave today. And then within a year's time, we'll come back and look at this particular situation. Right. That's just not me. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? That's something I got to stand on. But here's the thing, I got to make it to where it's one of my boundaries. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I unfortunately, as much as I would love for us to be able to stay in the situation together to work things out. If she needs time to heal and she wants to heal the way she wants to heal, unfortunately, puts me in a bind with my boundary of not going or accepting reconciliation in that matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I kind of hurts to know that, dang, I kind of dropped the ball as a man. I'm going to have to answer to God for that, as far as, like, dropping the ball when it comes to my family.
Right.
But I ain't never run from nothing.
Right.
I stand on business.
Right.
When my recruiter came to me and told me, Leroy, you was the easiest recruit to put into the Marine Corps, you didn't run or nothing. I'm going to do the same thing when I see God in his face. I'm just like, yup, I messed up.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing I can do about it. You see it, you know.
Absolutely.
So I got to stand on it. But at the end of the day, as a man, I'm taking full responsibility for what I did, you know. But I think that's one of the reasons of the situation that happened between, I think, my past traumas. I brought those into my current relationship.
Right.
And without addressing those past traumas and taking responsibility for it, it kind of was, you know, like chipping away.
Yeah.
Just chipping away.
Right. And I also think too, though, you know, sometimes you have the man and the woman come from two broken homes, and it's kind of hard for two broken people to help each other unless they both admit that they was broken. As far as you know, my issue coming up was I was never taught. Where we grew up as black men, women say certain kind of cliches. He paid the cost to be the boss. He bring home the bacon. So that really massaged us that all I got to do is just make money and I'll be okay. So at the same time, you know, as a black man, you really hearing about the materialistic game of it, you know what I'm saying, of what you should do. You know what I'm saying? And you watching TV and you seeing the guys with the money, whatever, that was the ones that get the most respect and stuff like that. So, you know, when it was time for me to grow up with it, it was real complicated because, like I said, I never had the teaching. On top of which, a lot of things happened to me during my earlier age, you know what I'm saying? as a youngster, man. Man, when I was like 8 years old, man, I was molested. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me being 100. So at the same time, you're getting somebody, man, that's almost like a stray dog. You know what I'm saying? And you trying your hardest, man, to persevere and move forward. And it was hard for me to trust anybody. You know what I'm saying? I ain't want to talk to nobody. I ain't want to be around nobody. It was like it was hard. So then I'm seeing people making money, and I'm saying, well, if I make money, that can offset everything I've been through. But no, it won't. It's still gonna be right there. You know what I'm saying? And what I'll tell any man, if you don't hold yourself accountable, whoever you meet, you're gonna hold them responsible. And that's just being 100. And even the same thing for the women. If you don't hold yourself accountable for stuff you have, the next man you meet, he's gonna be responsible for everything. And after a while, I just said, you know what? I'm gonna hold myself accountable. You know what I'm saying? And then I start releasing people. I started releasing my dad. I started releasing people, you know what I'm saying, who was was in my past. And then I started seeing things a whole lot different because every stage has a bike stage. And a lot of people don't have a bike stage pass in my life. Y'all know me. I'm real private. I ain't much on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? I'm very, very private, dog. And but it's a reason because you can't trust everybody. And so, but coming up as a black male, I wasn't even allowed to cry. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if I hurt my toe. If I was a cry, my dad would tell me, stop crying, I'm gonna hit you. So we wasn't even allowed to cry inside my house. Crying was for losers, for wimps and all that. But it's healthy to cry. It's good to cry. But we wasn't, we was taught you shouldn't cry. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, if we was taught that way, then the young women in our neighborhood, they was taught not to respect the young boy who cried. So it was a lot of complications coming up, man. And people don't realize, of course our divorce rate is real high, no question about that. But at the same time, if you really dig deep down into it, a lot of us was lost. You know what I'm saying? We was lost. We didn't have the right answers, on how this thing really go and all that, And sometimes, man, truthfully, when you don't have anybody to teach you, who's gonna teach you?
You kind of you had the whim of the world, really.
Yeah, and that's it. And the crazy part about it is that the ones who should have taught you, guess what they at? They in the bleachers watching that you lose the game. You know what I'm saying? Pointing at you saying, see, you should have did this here. If you would have taught me what to do, Daddy, I know what to do, But at the same time, this is what happens, man. And it's hard, man. It's hard coming up, as a young black man, and you ain't got that father in your life. It's only so much mama can do. Because, one more thing about mama, your son get 800 pounds. You still gonna say he gonna be the next Michael Vick. You know what I'm saying? That mama, she gonna hype him up. She gonna say this here. You know what I'm saying? That mama gonna feed their child straight cotton candy all day long. You know what I'm saying? And you need that father figure to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And when you don't have that, man, it just made life a little complicated for you, man. Seriously.
I think that, men and women are different in so many ways. So therefore, the male is there to provide the structure.
Right.
The female is there to provide the nurture.
Right.
That's where you need both
Yep.
at the same time. But there was something that people say, mother's baby, father's maybe. That's because we never know whether the father's going to be there or not. But we know that mama's always going to be there.
Always.
And I think that one of the things that hinders a lot of males is that it's hard for us to forgive. I preached a sermon on this, and it said, forgiveness really is not for them; it's for you.
Oh yeah.
Because when you don't forgive, it keeps you in bondage. It blocks your blessings,
right?
And it creates barriers,
right,
for the next person that's coming into your life. And like Leroy was saying, when that wall is up, it doesn't matter. I mean,
Right.
now a woman can be upset with you and have a conversation with you within the next 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
And I'm guilty of it, because if I get pissed off and I get mad, I ain't gonna talk to you till I get ready.
right.
Is that right? No, it's not right. But that's just how men are sometimes, you know.
Right.
But it's like, she know I'm mad at her, so why she trying to talk to me right now? We don't want to hear that, but at the same time, we have to. There has to be a balance.
Right.
And when it's just the mama there,
Right.
and no father there,
Right.
there is no balance.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
and like Big Chip was saying, well, hey, if I'm not getting the love that I want where I'm
Absolutely.
supposed to get it at,
Absolutely.
you get it wherever it's being rendered at.
Absolutely.
And if you take it biblically, you can think about it this way. The reason it's hard for people to come into the church is because they see how people are treating each other. And if I'm going to get mistreated in the church,
Right.
I might as well stay out here where I know
Right.
how they're going to act.
Absolutely.
It's not a surprise to me.
Absolutely. No question.
So I think that, with what we're doing, it helps.
Right.
Because we're being open, we're being honest, and we're letting people know that, hey, there's a need for this, because there are a lot of men out there hurting.
Right.
Like I told Leroy, people will be surprised to know how often I get in my truck and just weep and cry while I'm riding around,
Absolutely.
wondering if this is going to be my last ride.
Wow.
Because I'm just that frustrated and I'm just hurting inside.
Right.
I was telling y'all when we were together last weekend, I said, people don't understand. We get on the stage and we make people laugh, we do stuff, but what about us?
Right. Right.
They don't see that side of us, because we're there to help them get over whatever they're going
Absolutely.
through.
Absolutely.
My pastor calls it a wounded healer.
Right. Right. Right.
We're all wounded, we're all broken,
Absolutely.
but we're healing so many people because of what we do. But at the
Right.
end of the day, what about us?
Absolutely. And to piggyback on what Ernest saying, man, I also think too, what was hard for me coming up, even into manhood, was that when we make a mistake, we punish instead of ask, what happened? Why you did that? Instantly we make a mistake, like, I did something wrong, right? Say, you did this wrong. Okay, this is what's gonna happen to you. It's over between us. Okay, I pause for a second. Have you ever thought that maybe I got a problem? Something wrong with me? You know what I'm saying? But instantly, we was always having consequences. Still give me consequences, but figure out, what I'm saying, what's going on. And anybody that's real close to me who hurt me, true story, and they know I'm telling the truth. Anybody who hurt me, I say, I forgive you. I need for you to tell me what happened. Why did you do that? You know what I'm saying? What inside you to make you do that? You know what I'm saying? Because one thing I learned about road rage is that person that had road rage, he was pissed off before he got on the expressway. Mm-hmm. That person who skipped him inside the line, that ain't the reason why he was mad. He was already mad before he got on the expressway. And sometimes people are already going through it before they encounter with you. You know what I'm saying? It's just you finna get the blame for it. So tell me what happened. You know what I'm saying? And I think, growing up, if I would have had enough people to come to me when I made mistakes and say, what happened? It'd have been easy to open up. But every time you mess up, there's consequences. It's consequences. There's no, hey, what's going on? You all right? That's kind of abnormal behavior. Hey, what's going on? You got about 20 girls, got 20 girlfriends. What's going on? Where that came from? You know what I'm saying? It was always, you a dirty dog. Look at you. You just like your daddy. You a dirty. I mean, something happened to me, lady. You know what I'm saying? Jesus. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's always been a scorecard, headed for us. Whatever mistake we make, we're going to jot it down. Instead of somebody sit down with you saying, what happened? You know what I'm saying? And that's the end all of that, man. We just never really had that. We never had nobody to hold us while we made mistakes. A lot of us been chastised with anger. Once I make a mistake, we being grounded with anger. Instead of them relaxing and stuff and sitting down and talking to us, they had to talk to us with anger. So it was real hard coming up and trying to learn how to really get this thing right.
Mine's was different. like I was raised by my mother, and she did a good job. But like you say, she can't be the father or whatever. But as I was growing up, I started holding stuff inside. I didn't release it. I didn't want to talk. I just stayed quiet. And that's how I learned. Like for me, I was getting by. That's what I learned. But I didn't know what I was building up in me.
Right.
And then I see my father, then see him be like, a lot of, that ain't my daddy. A lot of that stuff. But was I wrong for saying that? Yeah. I could have handled it different if I would have known. So a lot of that grew up with me because I had uncles. They wasn't faithful to their wives. All this I'm seeing.
Right.
This is all I'm seeing.
Right.
I'm seeing real life pimps in Detroit, seeing my uncles and cousins. Oh, this is the life. This is the life. This is what you grew up with. So this is the energy that you say you don't put out, but in reality, you putting it out too. So when you get married and you be in that situation, a lot of stuff stems from that because you actually, like you said, you get comfortable with how you was. So
Absolutely.
this is how I am. And then you be like, you know what? That what daddy did, that affect me.
Yeah.
But you don't have nobody to talk to.
Absolutely.
And you talk to your mother, like I was talking to my mother, I was talking to my grandma and all that there. But see, mine's don't differ because I was a nurturer too. Because I took care of my grandma in high school.
Yeah.
So imagine how frustrating that is. You can't get a job. You can't buy what you want. And then when I asked my family, I was like, hey, look, I got to take care of grandma. So y'all chip in and give me some money to buy some. Oh, everybody wanted to fight me. So it closed me up like, I better not say nothing. And I did. I told my grandma, I said, you know what? I just drop out of school to take care of you.
Right.
Because wasn't nobody helping me. Like, absolutely. I felt that way like, okay.
Absolutely.
And my grandma looked at me and told me, boy, you better graduate.
Absolutely.
And that's the only reason why I graduated, to be honest with you. Because my grandma said it, but I wouldn't have dropped out of school because I had to bathe her. Like, you ain't going to find too many teenagers, like, bathing her. It was frustrating because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I just know I had to do it. And I didn't have no daddy, hey, you going to come play ball or whatever? No. My daddy took us to the fair like one time.
Right.
And that joker won all the games. Didn't let us win nothing. And was giving us goldfish. It felt good, though. It felt good. But at the end of the day, like, once you dropped us off, like, we was back to square one. But I thank God my mama didn't cripple us with it, though. She didn't diss my dad to saying, he ain't doing this here, doing that there. No, she was like, no, that's y'all dad to respect him and let us see what he was doing.
Right.
That's where my anger come from. Like, okay, I see what you're doing. Right. Now, my mom and grandma showed me the definition of unconditional love.
Right.
When my mama was dying of cancer, my daddy came in with his sister, my auntie. And this the one said, that ain't your son. So I had to go through all that growing up and all that there. So my mama, she was talking like, this here. Right. And I was like, wow, if she can forgive, I can forgive.
Absolutely. And I think too, though, by even me coming with my mom, I think a lot of times, a lot of mothers with males, they enables a lot. You know, say if I have an anger problem, instead of my mama get me help for anger, she'll send me to a private school. You see what I'm saying? And thinking that's gonna fix the issue. Say if I'm doing wrong in church, let's find a new church. You see what I'm saying? It was like I never really faced. I never faced my giant. You know what I'm saying? I told my mom that. But towards the end, I said, Mom, I love you. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I needed dad so much in my life, because you enabled me and you ain't realize that. You see what I'm saying? You never allowed me to fight what I was facing. You know what I'm saying? You know, you face it, you fight it, you finish it. I never even fought it before. You know what I'm saying? Because if I had an anger issue, you would say, well, it's the neighborhood we stay in. Let's move in a better neighborhood. But I still have an anger problem. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I do want to go to a nice neighborhood, but at the same time, I got an anger issue. You know what I'm saying? Mama, I got a problem with a bunch of women. How about you get you a pretty girl? You'll be good. I ain't gonna say that. So it was like we were so much enabled a lot too. You know what I'm saying? That we never had somebody to say, listen, this is what's going on with you. You're gonna face this thing, you're gonna fight it, and you're gonna finish it. Never really had that.
I think the other thing is not just us forgiving. I think another thing is you hit the nail on the coffin, Funnybone, when you said that when we come out of broken homes and our fathers go and start another family with somebody else,
Facts.
you know what that does? That causes animosity.
Yes, it does.
Because my thoughts is, well, why is my dad over there doing for them, but he don't do nothing for my mom is over here struggling.
That's right.
With the first two.
That's right. That's
you done
right.
had three more.
That's right. That's
You're
right.
taking good care of them.
That's right.
But you just want to see me maybe
Absolutely.
on the weekend or whenever you feel
Absolutely.
that I'm going to be showcased. And people know that happens. Well,
Yes, it does.
It's a special occasion. So
Yeah,
let's
it
get
is.
all my kids
Yeah,
together.
got the same color polo
and
shirt
make
on.
it, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're going to dress y'all all alike and make it seem like we one big happy family.
Absolutely.
And that's not always the case.
It's
I mean,
not.
because just being personal and being truthful, I didn't know there was such a thing called the Borden family reunion. And my cousin, who rest in peace, Cutie Pie, used to tell me, yeah, man, the Borden family always get together and have a family reunion.
They do.
Your dad and all the kids be there. Well, these two kids don't never be there. How about the first two definitely don't never be there. In fact, the first two didn't know nothing about it.
Feel you, man.
And I'm like, man, all this stuff is happening and you don't know anything about it at all.
Right.
You know?
So I think with me, as far as the accountability, that right there, as far as growing up as well and not having a father, I grew up timid, and I would probably say most likely scared. I didn't grow up in the best neighborhoods in Washington D.C. I didn't. Bruce Place, Langston Lane, Anacostia, Alabama Avenue, Southeast, behind St. Elizabeth Hospital, which is a crazy hospital. You know what I mean? So I think growing up for those times, I wish my father was there so that way, you know, you teach me how to be not scared. I think I overcompensated with my daughter because I was not compensated when I was younger. When my daughter came of age, I had to explain to her. I was like, listen, I'm going to tell you, you're going to be what I wasn't growing up.
Right.
And I enforced it. I said, listen, no one... You're not going to be scared of nobody.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because once I got beat up.
Oh, man.
I got beat up pretty bad for like protecting my sister. Right. And from that point on, once I joined the military, I said, I'm not going to stand down on nobody.
Right.
I like right then and there, I made a decision. I said, I might not be able to beat you, but I promise you, I'll fight you. And you're going to look just as bad. I promise you. You're not going to, you're going to always think twice about messing with this one.
Right.
But see, if I would have had that mentality growing up, I wouldn't have been so timid and scared. I think that's probably a lot where my anger management comes from. Where my anger comes from is because I was scared because of my anxiety during those times where I might have, because no one bullied me. Right. Like my time in high school, I wasn't bullied. Right. People thought I was crazy. Right. In high school. Mm. And I was cool with them. Like, I'm not about to mess with that one. I don't know what's wrong with him. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, well, they think I'm crazy. I'm going to go ahead with the crazy thing. Y'all not going to bother me, but you're going to have to really get to know me. To be like, okay, well, he's cool. I don't know why you think he's crazy. Right. But then when I had my daughter, I already knew. I was like, listen, you're a dark-skinned, petite girl. I was like, at the end of the day, defend yourself.
Right.
You got
Facts.
3 rules. You tell
Right.
them to stop. You tell the teacher, and then you do what you got to do.
Right. Right.
That was it. And when
Right.
she went to school, like her first 2 years in middle school, all she did was fight.
Right.
No, I'm serious. That's all she did. And I was like, and the thing about it is that I would talk to the teacher and I would ask the teacher, I was like, what did she do? Well, she came and told me, but I told her, you know what I'm saying? We kids, the kids in here, everybody kids, I can't move you right now. Then I was like, okay, well then she needs to
Right.
handle her business.
Right.
So she did what she had to do. She gets so
Right.
many calls from the school saying that Nana was fighting. Nana had to do this.
But see, the thing is, what you did was you gave her
What I didn't
step.
have.
You gave her steps to take, but at the same time, are you gonna just let someone just jump on you? No, my thing is, we say, hey, look, if they hit you, you hit them back. I know a friend of mine, his mom and dad used to tell you, look, don't come back here crying. You go back down there and you finish what you need. You go ahead and take care of your business, because if you come here crying, you're gonna get another one.
Right. That's right.
You know, so I mean, the thought is you were taught that way because you don't let nobody hit you.
Right. That's what's
But everything you was taught don't mean it's good.
No, it ain't.
Because you gotta a lot of times now you gotta reposition yourself and rethink a lot of stuff because that stuff you was told don't mean much as this.
No.
It's just gonna get you in trouble.
Well, it ain't just that. Now they ain't fighting no more.
No,
That's
they
the
not.
whole thing.
They not.
I tell people, you sit up there and you play on these video games. You got these 9 and 10 lives like a cat.
Yeah.
One table, one bullet.
Yeah, you're not about to respawn.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that
yeah.
right now.
Yeah. And you gotta explain it. You gotta explain
Right.
it to, especially a young black man. As a black father, like
Right.
you have to tell your son, even with the police, like they ready to shoot you.
Yes, you're right.
They not looking for you to talk to them. Anything you say is gonna trigger them.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
that's what we have to teach. You don't
Right.
want to see your kid in no body bag.
Right.
You know, you don't want to see none of that there. But you need to instill a lot of stuff in these kids now, and they need real models, not role models, because like I say, I believe role models pretend because they something else when they go somewhere else. So you need real models who gon', hey, I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna
Right,
teach you.
right.
That's just like the movie The Forge. Like,
Mentors.
yes, you need that out there because these kids, a lot of them lost.
Right.
A lot of them think, what they say, you're an OG. You 21, you're an OG. Oh, you made it past 18. Like, they truly believe you supposed to die at 18 and all that.
Right.
Come on, it's more to life than that.
Yeah. No question.
And then we can't expect for no.
And I can say this to add to what you just said, though. One reason why a lot of us as African Americans, we don't open up because we have ways to not open up. The Bible even talked about inside James, it said that the man who had on the best flashy suit, he gonna get the best seat inside the house. The man with the old garment, he gonna sit inside the back. Us as black people, we was able to match stuff. If you and your wife had nice cars, nice house, y'all was looked at as a great couple.
You ain't lying.
You see what I'm saying? So the thing of it is, us as black people, we was taught really on how to match stuff. You know what I'm saying? Prime example, if you see somebody that has money, first thing you will say they blessed. That's us as black folk, we was able to materialize stuff and not even get to the meat of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? When we was in school, we seen little white Timmy, he around there taking medicine, we laughing at him. But we need some medicine too, you know what I'm saying? But we was taught, you see what I'm saying?
Flintstone vitamin.
Yeah, but at the same time, we was taught all you got to do is get a good job. Buy a house, buy a good car, and everybody gonna think you're happy.
American dream.
Everybody gonna think that y'all good and all that, but you're miserable. You're empty on the inside. You know what I'm saying? When you look at these different reality shows and all that stuff, that all they talking about is material gain. You know what I'm saying? And I always tell people who know me, I always say, don't tell me about you. Tell me what you've been through. All that about you just went to Jamaica and all that. I don't hear all that stuff there. Tell me how you feeling. You know what I'm saying? Because real talk, We not taught on how to look at our issue. We taught to put stuff over the issue to make it look like we good and all that. And man, we be crying on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Because of it's easier for me to buy a car, to buy a house, in order to massage what I'm going through. You got a deal. You know what I'm saying? And you look at a lot of us as black folk, we try to make stuff look like we okay, but really we not.
That's that whole thing about also your family saying, don't what goes on in the house stays in the house. So you'll be going through hell and high water inside of a beautiful home.
Yeah.
And people don't know the difference. I had
Yeah.
what is it, me? She didn't even know that me and my wife was going through what we was going through. And then me and my wife, we go out to her event, and then she says on the mic, look at y'all, this is my favorite couple coming in. Don't even know. don't even know that, like, right now you don't even understand. I'm just sitting, I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, so
Absolutely.
Given the circumstances, I as a man, I take full responsibility of how I led, because that's all I thought. That's all my mom really did. And then you had mentioned something that I took to heart, because I don't think I ever had that. See, my mom, she worked.
Right.
My grandmother, she was older, but my grandmother was doing her own things. She was just there as an adult figure,
Right.
just in case something was to happen.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
So I was pretty much raising myself, if you think about it,
Right.
right? So at the end of it all, I was never taught how to nurture or be nurtured.
Right.
So when you mentioned that, I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I raised a girl, but I raised my daughter like a boy. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, listen, she played football, she was in weightlifting, she was in track. You know what I'm saying? I'm so glad that she didn't turn out gay.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if she did, God bless her. You know what I mean? But all I'm just saying is that I raised her up to be a boy and not to take no mess off of nobody. And at the end of the day, you fight through it. You push through it. You make sure that whatever's in front of you, if they are bothering you and you can't go around them, you go through them. And that's just how I was. And that's the mentality I took once I joined the military. And then when I joined the Corps, I don't know if y'all know, but they break you down to rebuild you back up.
Right.
But they rebuild you back up with that mentality of, listen, if the enemy is in front of you, because every Marine is a rifleman, if the enemy is in front of you, you kill him. There is no ifs, ands. You can be a supply clerk, you can be a cook, or you can be infantry.
Child.
It don't matter.
One shot, one kill.
One shot, one kill. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
you're right.
So at the end of the day, I had this mentality like I'm like the baddest person on the planet, and the anger, they didn't fix none of that.
Right.
All
Absolutely.
they made me was a more
No more of a
compliant,
killing machine.
a more compliant
Yeah.
killer. You know what I mean? And when I get around, like when I had conversations with my wife, and I tell them, listen, that doesn't bother me at all. I said at the end of the day, like I bought this house, right? And the only thing I wanted in the house was their safety and how I can protect them. It wasn't whether or not, okay, we're going to be comfortable or whatnot. I said, God, give me a 2-story house with a 2-car garage so they can back in and they can close the garage and see what's going on. And I said, I want to be on the 2nd floor just in case somebody was to break in the house. I have the ability to shoot down range, hit them while they're coming down, and funnel them in through the hallway. That's my thinking when I asked God, this is the house. Next thing you know, God was like, I give you what you want. So he gave me that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I didn't ask God, listen, give me a home so that way my family are happy when they're here. You know what I mean? And then all of the anger, all of that growing up, being scared. And then when you say being called upon, like if I got called by somebody in my battalion, or if I got called on by a higher ranking official, most of the times when they call you, it's never really anything to tell you that you're doing good.
Right.
It's always something bad. And the more I got called on, the more it built up my anxiety. My anxiety built up my depression, and it made me angry that I was depressed. Like, how am I depressed? You know what I mean? So I'm using anger to fight through it. So that's
Right.
all I knew. And then, God forbid, somebody give me problems. It was like, Chip, no. Chip, no. This ended, and when you say forgiveness, that's something that I'm still working on. It's slowly going away. It's slowly that feeling is going away. But to this day, I still can't stand him, and he is dead and gone.
Wow.
And see, because you're still holding on, that's blocking your blessings, and it's creating you're being kept in bondage.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's just like we say when someone make you mad, they done went home and went to sleep, and you still up in the middle of the night thinking about what somebody done did at the family cookout.
Right.
Yeah.
And you knew I wanted that last piece of chicken, but you took it anyway. And
I don't know why you use a fat joke.
you know,
You could have said the last piece. Something.
hey, you know,
Use
look,
the last piece of
you know,
chicken.
we don't miss no meals around here now. But I think that's what it is. You know, we have to admit that we're broken. We first have to admit that we're having a hard time forgiving. Because because this is what happens. God would test you. You may say you forgive, and you really don't. And Funnybone can tell you, I said, you know, I did not want to go into, I think it was probably year 2016, the way I was feeling at the end of 2015.
Right.
And I sat down and I had a conversation with my dad. And I told him, look, I'm out of the military. I think that when something happens to you, you should call all the siblings, all your children, let them know, hey, what's going on? Not one sibling, you call one child, and then they relay the message to everybody else. You should call us all.
Right.
And, you know, after we had our conversation or whatever, my dad basically told me, I don't owe you a damn thing. Now, this is me now. This is me, because God says give it to him and release it. Okay,
That's
so
your
I said,
balance.
I didn't, Big Chip, you ain't going to hit it. You wait till you hit a balance. The balance was I said, okay, well, Lord, I did what you asked me to do, so I think I done released it. I think now I'm good to go, and I done forgave him. I'm good. And God would test you.
Yeah.
Boy, when my daddy left and did not go to my son graduation,
All that came back.
Big Chip, it came back like a lightning bolt. It just hit me so hard. And I'm like, I thought I had really let this go, but I see now that I hadn't.
Right.
I really hadn't.
And then that's what you got to be a different thinker, because I hear a lot of people, because even I was like this, oh, you got peace in the house and all that. No, you have to be able to bring peace for yourself
You're right.
to take in the house. And even with marriage, just if I'm unhappy, that don't mean, oh, I want to cheat. That's where a lot of people be like, oh, well, I wasn't happy. Oh, we grew apart. That's so stupid to me. But people say it because that's all they heard and what they saw and everything. But nowadays, don't nobody fight for marriage. It's either my way or no way. But you still got to come together like, hey, what are we going to do? What you going to do? And we wasn't taught that. We were taught, in the sign of danger in the marriage, let's get a divorce.
Absolutely.
Now that's what I will say I love about my grandparents. My grandparents stayed married 62 years.
Right.
My grandfather left here at the age of 96. My grandmother left at the age of 92.
Right.
And guess what was so funny about that? They never went to the same church.
Wow.
Their church was 5 minutes away from each other. My aunt would drop him off at church, and she would take my grandmother and her. They would go to church, and when church was over, they'd go pick him up. But the thing is, they made an ultimate decision that we don't make, like Big Chip is saying. Once you see the sign of the sign of trouble, you're ready to throw in the towel. A lot of us have dealt with fathers that had outside children. Grandparents didn't care.
Right.
You may have an outside child, but guess what? You staying here. I'm not leaving you. I'm going to stay right here with you.
Right.
Just like the moving Fences with Denzel Washington.
Right.
He went out there and had a child, and guess what? The wife still took care of the child that you done had an affair with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think
It didn't change nothing.
too, if you go buy a car right now, the first thing you say when you buy a car is show me the Carfax. I want to see what that car been through. And it's the same thing about people. See, sometimes we look a certain kind of way, but I want to see the Carfax. You know what I'm saying? All of us have a Carfax inside of us, stuff that we done been through the whole 9 yards. But what happens is people got to realize if you buy that car without looking at the Carfax, now it's on you.
Right.
And you have people get in relationships and things like that, not knowing the Carfax of the person. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing that the person had oil leaks and things like that there. You just saw how shiny the paint job was, how the body was and all that there. You know what I'm saying? But you didn't know this person was molested. You didn't know that this person been through this here. You didn't know that, but you just looking at the outside frame of it and without looking at the Carfax. And again, we was taught like that even inside of church. Churches don't look at Carfaxes a lot. They just look at, hey, you gave this hip, let's ride. We're gonna put them over this ministry. You know what I'm saying? So we was taught to not look at the Carfax. But everybody has a Carfax inside of them. But in saying that, I can have a Carfax inside of me and can be open with somebody with my Carfax. And they can say, you know what? I still take that. I know how to fix that. And I think all of us have something wrong with us that the buyer can fix. You know what I'm saying? I think what happens is we get in relationships, whether it's intimate relationships or friendships or whatever, the whole nine, and people don't look at the Carfax. I tell people all day long, if you ever tell me you love me, I'm gonna look at you crazy. Because I'm gonna say, how you tell me you love me and we ain't fight yet? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, that's just real talk, because anybody could say anything to you at Disney World. Because you tell me you love me in a haunted house. That's the thing, you know. But I think that, you know, we don't look at the internal side of a person, what a person been through. How can I help you? You know what I'm saying? We look at what we see, you know what I'm saying, instead of what the person been through. Because real quick, I'll say this right here. I remember when I was teaching at First Coast High School, and I had the sub one day for a special education class. So I went inside at the sub, and the child got up and said, I'm going to use the restroom. I said, nah, sit down. He said, whatever. He grabbed the hall pass and left. I said, man, that joker done messed up. So I wrote him on a good referral, long, lengthy referral. And so I sent it down to the dean of boys. Sure enough, about 5 minutes later, the student came back with the referral signed by the dean of boys. And I'm like, man, this joker done left this class, told me what he finna do. So after the bell rung, I went to go talk to the dean. And I said, man, I wrote the joker on the referral. And you let him come back. He said, exactly. He said, he's a special child. See, you ain't trained. You see what I'm saying? See, you're trained to teach normal students. You see what I'm saying? And the thing of it is something wrong with me that's special.
Right.
You got to be a special person to understand what I've been through. You got to be a special person to understand my dad wasn't there with me. So there's going to be some abnormalities about me. You got to be a special person to understand it was just me and mama. You got to understand that it's got to be a special person. And he will let me know that, see, listen, you wrote him on a referral because you're not a special teacher. You see what I'm saying? Because, see, the special teacher, what would have happened, he would let him go. You see what I'm saying? Right. And came back because he understood.
Right.
And the thing of it is, a lot of us is growing up, whether it's marriages or whatever, a lot of us is growing up being misunderstood. That's all. That's all. We're just being misunderstood. And you don't have to agree with me to understand me. You know, and what the first thing black people say, they don't agree with you. My understanding is zero. So if you don't understand me, if you don't agree with me, your understanding is zero. So now it's letting me know that if you don't agree with me, you will never understand me. Well, how can you know me? And that's the thing, man. It's hard to be understood if somebody don't agree with you, man. You know, and that was the struggle I always had, man. You know, and that's real. I'll show you the Carfax straightforward, man. Man, it's the reason why I'm private. Somebody said, man, you ain't on Facebook? I said, no. They said, why? I said, because I don't want your wife to call me. Because I got issues. Hey, cool. I just did you a favor. You see what I'm saying? That be happening. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to be, you know what I'm saying, 100. You know what I mean? And the thing of it is there's something wrong with every last one of us, man. You know what I'm saying? And it takes a special person, man, to be with a special person, and that's real.
I think when it comes to the Carfax test, to the Carfax situation, a lot of times you might not even know what your Carfax is. I think that's what it was with me. I didn't realize I had a problem. I didn't think that I had any issues. I was
Right.
like, you know what I'm saying? People just talking mess. There's nothing wrong with me.
Right.
So my Carfax is straight. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you realize that because I go to counseling. I pay for counseling, and I also go to the phone counseling now, and they kind of help me look at things in a different way when it comes to myself. It turned the mirror on me.
Right.
Okay, and a lot of things that's going on personally with me is no fault of my wife and my kid. It's because I was trying too hard.
What you was taught.
Yeah, I was trying too hard and put more stress on me than what I needed to. You know, I know when I got out of the military, my whole goal was to make sure that my wife and kid had a roof over their head, and they didn't want or didn't have to worry about food or anything the way we did growing up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I didn't want to put that stress on my wife to have to work as much because I saw my my mom work 2 jobs and damn near get sick and die from working. Thyroid swell up. She had to take iodine to kill the thyroid. She was losing all of her hair and everything. I'm talking about trying to just maintain us in a pretty decent neighborhood, right? So at the end of the day, I'm like, well, I don't want my wife going through that, and I don't want my daughter going through that. I mean, I've done just about every kind of job you can think of. I drove Gator City taxis. I worked for Chartwell's Dining Service. I worked for Airmark Service Masters cleaning up sandalwood. I'm talking about these high school kids are some of the nastiest kids you can think of. You know what I mean? When I couldn't make enough money to get all of the things, I donated plasma. Do you know how big them needles are for at the plasma place?
Never done that.
Don't. It's not. And I'm talking about just to make ends meet. Driving cabs, go out there to where, matter of fact, right where you stay at is the plasma place. That's the one I went to. Sitting up there with a needle that you can see the hole when they put it inside your veins. I'm serious. I think I've done just about every job. Well, at least I made sure that I worked so that way I can take care of my wife and my daughter as much as I could. But I'm only 80% of man.
Right.
I'm only 80%. My wife, she tells me, she says, Leroy, you're a great provider. She's not going to deny that. You're going to work. You're going to make sure that we're taken care of. But you're angry. And my anger stems from wanting the best for my family to the point to where I'm willing to get sick, try to figure out what's going on, stay up. If I can't figure it out, I'll figure it out. But one thing that movie, The Forge, kind of added to what I'm thinking is that I shouldn't have never been trying to do it by myself.
Right.
Right.
I should have never. I mean, listen, I didn't have brothers. I didn't have brothers who I trusted. Now so I'm going to say this, and I'll mention them. James and Daryl, who I met in church, were individuals who I met at the church, but I'm still in the mindset of I don't trust.
Right.
You are going to eventually leave. That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
And here's the funny thing about it. It happened.
Absolutely.
They both left.
Absolutely.
So I didn't, I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad I did not share things with y'all. Y'all left and I had the mentality of like, whatever.
Yeah. That's
You know
true.
what I mean? So it happened. No disrespect to y'all. It is what it is.
Absolutely.
So even then, I had the mindset, listen, I can't trust nobody. Everybody in my life outside of my
Right.
mom
Right.
and my sister and my grandmother have left me.
Right.
So it's bound to happen. I have yet to have a relationship that stood the test of time where I can be like, damn, yo, I can go to this brother and be like, yes, I can do that. Outside of right now, I'm 44 years old. Mm-hmm. And the only person who I can say I can talk to if I need them right now will be Chip. Mm-hmm. Just on the strength of that.
Right.
So I'm going to be real honest. I was like, yo, can't nobody say anything about my brother. We call him, we crack on each other, saying each other fat and all of this or whatever. But it has yet to be where I can call on him because this brother holds me accountable.
That's right.
This man sit up and said, Leroy, because we not too long had a conversation. It was like, you need to go ahead and save your marriage. You need to get it. You need to do what you need to do. And I tell him, I was like, listen, there isn't anything else I can do. I've felt like I've done everything. I've gone to counseling. I know what my faults are now. I am aware. I mean the special that I did lays my life for the most part on the table. I know where I messed up at.
Right.
But there comes a point in time where it takes two. You know what I mean? And I'm not negating anything that I might have said to hurt my wife. You know what I'm saying, with the things that I've said, but I've never physically abused her. I don't have any kids out of wedlock. I have never had any infidelity. You're never going to find a woman coming up to my wife saying, oh, me and Leroy got down and dirty in the sheets. That's not going to happen. I have yet to bring her, but yet I've never brought her any of those problems. But my problem is that I was angry, and I was angry because I wanted my wife and daughter to have this, and I could not figure it out how to get that for them. You know, I kind of regretted, like, okay, now I'll mention Bishop Davis from Impact Church. At the time, he was pastoring over Faith Christian Center. This is the first time that because I had church hurt too. I had a lot of church hurt. It's like, listen, I don't believe, and all they're going to do is throw this Bible in my face. That's all they're going to do. So all I was like, okay, well, he was like, well, message Bishop to see if he got any advice. And I was like, okay, I'll take a chance. At this time, I'm like, I'm going to work every day, and I come home and I don't know where my money is going. All I know, it seems like I'm paying nothing but bills, and I'm feeling like a slave. And Bishop was like, listen, the Bible is good. It's good for everyday life things, but it's not going to teach you everything. And he gave me Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Dave Ramsey's The Total Money Makeover. When he gave me those things, it made me open my eyes to how messed up my finances and stuff was.
Right.
So I went on a straight library tangent for 2 years. I read every book when it came to money and finances, to where I was able to flip everything around, and was like, and I'd be like, okay, well, thank you for giving me something I can work with. You know what I mean? So at that time, I felt like I was able to provide for my wife and get her anything that she wanted.
Right. Right.
And that's the way it was. I was like, okay, well, bet, time to get the house. Let's go ahead and get you the house you want. And I was so happy and proud.
Right.
Like, listen, our credit is so good, you can get the house that you want. But then after a while, I got lazy.
Comfortable.
I got comfortable and lazy with my finances because I was cool with making sure that my wife and my daughter was happy. But then after a while, I'm starting to realize things are getting tight again. My frustration is getting tight. But then on top of all of that, life started happening. Mom had to get a triple bypass surgery, find out that my dad has dementia. So I can't talk to him about my problems. He's not going to remember that I talked to him about the problems. You know what I mean? And then my aunt dies. And then another one of my aunt dies 2 days later. And then my wife, she has some things going on with her job. And I internalized myself. And then on top of that, she then comes back and tells me that she's not happy. And then my daughter, she's scared to talk to me anymore because I'm angry. You know what I mean? So all of that compiled. And then Chip tells me, Leroy, you angry. And then I was like, maybe I have a problem. Right. But then when I realized I have a problem, it was already too late.
Right. Right.
Well, I think I think the one good thing you can say is that I tell people we all have to have accountability partners. Yeah. Someone that's going to tell you when you're right, and someone that's definitely going to tell you when you're wrong. Because like you're saying, a lot of times we don't see it because we think it's normal. We think it's just us. I tell people, hey, this is just me. And sometimes people have to remind me, no, that you have a choice in the way how you react to everything that happens in life. Just like when you were saying about the road rage. I was telling the young lady the other day, I said, hey, look, you can't control everybody else out on the street, but you can control your own emotions.
Right. Right.
You know, if anybody ever got a chance to see the movie Unhinged.
Oh, yeah.
Several times.
Like you said, whatever happened before he got on that expressway had already set him in motion.
Yeah.
And you could tell because he's just asking the lady to just apologize to me. I apologize to you that I told you, look, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe I was in my haste. I was doing this and doing that.
Right.
So I apologize.
That's right. That's right.
Now, I'm asking you to apologize to me.
That's right. Absolutely.
And because you won't do it, now I'm finna run the highway racket.
Yeah.
And I mean,
You can make me watch the movie.
I mean,
And he just killed his wife.
right.
Absolutely.
I mean, you in there blew the whole house up.
Burnt them up.
So you ain't have no. If you want a movie that's gonna start out with a bang, that is. This ain't no slow movie whatsoever.
No, not at all.
So I mean, in all reality, that's why we can't hold everything in, because I tell people, like you were saying, you can hold stuff in so much till you explode like Hurricane Katrina.
Right.
I tell people, look, yeah, I did 27 years in the military. Don't make me go back. Because my thoughts is, just like you said, we're taught one shot, one kill.
Right.
And you know, I'm from the old school. My grandparents raised me. They helped me be the man that I am today.
Right.
And my partner had to remind me when he said, boy, you'll kill somebody about your grandbaby. And when he said it, I got quiet because it made me think. I'm like, yeah, she's the innocent one. So can't nobody tell me anything that happened to my grandbaby, because I can't tell you how I would react. We like to tell people what we would do and what we wouldn't do, but you don't know what you'll do when you're in that situation.
Yeah.
See, my problem. I only have one daughter. And I told my daughter, I said, listen, I need for you to make sure whatever man that you decide to deal with, you bring him here to me.
That makes sense.
I said, and then on top of that, I said, I need to meet their parents and all of that. And when I speak to them, I pulled, like, she had 2 boyfriends. I didn't get a chance to meet the last one because the relationship happened entirely too quick. I promise you. But I told them, I was like, listen, your son is dating my daughter. I said, if he does anything to her, I'm going to do that to you because you are his responsibility. And fathers understand where I'm coming from. I said that to, she had a boy she was dating in high school, and I met the father right outside of the candy shop downtown at City Hall. It was on a weekend. And I shook his hand and I looked at him right in his face. I was like, listen, he's dating my daughter. I'm giving him the responsibility of taking care of her while he's in their vicinity.
Right.
But if something happens to her, whatever happens to her is going to happen to you.
Right.
And I said that to the father. So the father understands, you better make sure your son is right, because you're going to be the responsibility of my wrath when it comes down to it. I was like, I only have one daughter. And the thing about it is I think that scared my daughter. I said, listen, I've been on this earth long enough that I'm willing to crash out. That's what the young kids use now. I'm willing to crash out. It don't matter. I said, I got a nice life insurance policy. You all will be taken care of, but I promise you. And that's scary for me. I said, I don't ever want to be put in that position, but I know it's easy for me to go there as a father.
Right.
But nonetheless, I don't want to
Nah, it's all good.
hold down on my vengeance for
This the conversation we need to be talking about.
boyfriends, you know. But I'm not going to. But I want to do this in closing. I really enjoy these particular type of things, but I want to get ready to wrap it up. But I want Ernest to speak on. He has this group that he wants to do for men, and I want him to just give us some insight on it real quick.
Coming up in 2025, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start an organization called Men Building Men, and it's going to be designed to help men come together and openly express some issues that they may have. I mean, we all got issues that we're dealing with. Your issue may not be my issue, your issue may not be mine, but we all have issues, and the only way that we can get help is to be open with each other. Because somebody may have already went through what you're going through now, and somebody may be about to go through it. But just the mere fact that you have, survived it, that lets you know that if God brought you through it, he can bring somebody else through it. And that's what this is all about. Just men building each other up. I don't care what you look at. Women will talk to each other. Women come together. Women cry on each other's shoulders. men, we got to get out of having that tough skin. We just got to get out of it because you got to figure men. Like you say, you talk. Men ain't supposed to cry. Why? Jesus wept, and if Jesus can weep, we should be able to do it. But the thought is being able to have a safe haven that you can come into,
Right.
and just open up to one another.
Right on.
So that's what I'm looking forward to doing in 2025. So men, if you got something that you want to talk about, or even if you just want to come out and talk and listen, you never know what it may do for you.
I think that's, first of all, that's a great idea. I'm on board
Thank you.
with it. I'm definitely going to be part of the meetings because I feel like outside of my counseling as well as my therapy sessions, just being around other men
Right.
that can either help me in all situations, but also give me that accountability.
Right.
I'm holding myself accountable for everything that I've done, but also there's still a life after this
Right.
that I'm going through. That's why I named the podcast today. The end is just the beginning. You know, there's things that I still want to accomplish. There are things that I still want to do, but I still need that guidance. Like what you said before, there are pastors who also have pastors.
Right.
They pastor their group, but they have a counsel that they go to when it comes to
Most
what
definitely.
they need. You know what I mean? So why wouldn't I be around brothers that I can speak to, bounce ideas off of, or just need somebody to talk to give me that counsel? But I also need that safe space.
Right.
I've talked to people in the past that would take your information and just spread it across everywhere.
Well, I think the thing is this: we have to tell each other, you may not be where you want to be, but you ain't where you used to be, and your present situation doesn't have to be your final destination.
Oh yeah.
You can make a change if you want to make a change.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm trying to do now. Just instill that in you and let you know that, hey, look, we all have fallen short.
Right.
I think once men get comfortable knowing you're not going, a lot of men don't. I know you're married and got a wife and all. We want it to be amongst men because we trying to do better as a man,
Right.
as a black man,
Right.
You know, to not only your kids but strangers,
Right.
and I think that's a good idea what you're doing. I'm in.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I think one of the things too, Ernest, you got my love on everything you do, Doc. I think you got to challenge your brain to say, it's this sign that I got at my house, and it say, what can losing teach you that winning cannot? A lot of time we focus so much on victories, but you really don't learn on victories.
Yeah.
You learn on defeats. And I think sometimes you got to go back to all the times you lost and learn lessons from that. You know, I told somebody before, you either win or you learn. You know, win or loss. You win or you learn. But what can losing teach you that winning cannot? Losing can teach you so much more than what a fumble can teach you, way much more than what a touchdown can. You know, and I think a lot of times you focus on all the fumbles you had in life. You focus on those fumbles and understand how can I learn from those fumbles? Because us, how we grew up, we would learn to promote our touchdowns. We was taught to promote, you know what I'm saying, how much we make an hour and how much, tell me about your fumbles. Tell me about your losses. How are you learning from your losses? And I personally think that was a challenge for me, because I ain't want to, my record was 6-18. And I'm focusing on 6 wins I had. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you about the 6 wins I got. You know what I'm saying? But I got 18 losses. So I say that, what can lose and teach you that winning cannot? Learn from your losses and capitalize off of them.
Yeah. I like that. And I think the healthiest exercise in the world is helping somebody out when they need it, when they
Facts.
fail.
Absolutely.
I think that's the healthiest exercise to me.
Awesome.
All right, fellas. Well, that's a great, outstanding show for this evening. Funnybone, thank you for coming through. Ernest,
Facts.
thank
Good,
y'all for
man.
coming through.
Thank you.
Chip, of course, you always know. Thank you for coming through.
Appreciate it.
At the end of the day, if I had closing remarks, is that you can always learn at rock bottom than you can learn on the mountaintop. You know what I'm saying? So for all of y'all that don't know, this is the Anger Management Podcast, where we like to empower men and others to seek help for anything that you got going on as far as your mental health. So make sure that you go ahead and get that help. Recommended movie for this week is going to be The Forge. It's on Netflix.
Yes, it is.
If you have young men, please watch that movie, because I'm going to watch it again when we get done with this.
I gotta check it out.
The movie is
good.
awesome. It's really awesome.
It is.
And I might actually change the name of the podcast to The Forge Jacks, because honestly, tell the truth, it's needed. Or I might just end up making another podcast, because I have the ability to do so, where we would make the focus on Ernest Men's Group versus the anger management. This will still be the anger management podcast, but I think Ernest Group needs to have
That has
basically
some-
one session a month.
That's
where
what's up.
I
we
appreciate
got
that.
fellas or whatnot that come
Thank
through
you.
and they just want to talk and they don't mind sharing their story.
That's what's up.
And then in my case, for anybody that's out there that's dealing with anger management, you need somebody to talk to, or you need some help or some guidance in anything. My goal here now is to let you know is, first and foremost, you got to become aware of your past. You have to understand what causes your anxiety, what are your triggers, so that way you can nip it in the bud right there in the beginning, so that way it doesn't bleed and affect the rest of your relationships. I want to thank all of you all for tuning into the Anger Management Podcast this evening, and make sure that you all go ahead and enjoy the rest of your Christmas holiday. Thank you all for tuning in, and good night.
Thanks. Oh.